What's up, everybody? Here we go.
Atheists will try to use a clever trick in an attempt to avoid the burden of proof.
Ah, yes. So they're assuming we have the burden of proof already. He is.
Atheists will say, well, I'm not saying that there is no God, but what I'm saying is I simply lack belief in a God. I haven't been given sufficient evidence yet,
That's correct.
so I'm withholding belief. What they do is then they set up their own personal subjective standard of evidence.
Personal subjective standard of evidence. Isn't something personal that's subjective? Why do you have to add personal to it as well? Can you have something that's subjective that's not personal? No, right? Why do you put those unnecessary words? Why do people do that?
And they're able to deny any evidence that doesn't meet that personal standard, even if it's not objectively reasonable. And then when you ask them about their position, what they would generally say is that there is no burden of proof on me because I'm not making any claim. You're the one making the claim that God exists. I'm not saying God doesn't exist. I'm just saying I don't have enough evidence, so you're the one who has to provide me with the evidence. But the reality
Oh, there's a but in there.
is that if they are saying that they are withholding belief in God because they don't have enough evidence for the existence of God, then what they are implicitly saying is that it is at least possible for a universe to exist without God. And that itself is a claim which they have to support with evidence.
No, we're not saying the universe was created without a God. We simply are saying we don't know. This is just stupid talk.
Whether they like it or not. But then they'll say no.
Whether we like it or not. Nope. No, we have no positive assertion. We're not saying the universe was without a God, was created without a God. We don't know how the universe came to be. We can try to use theories like the Big Bang with the evidence we have, but we really don't know. We don't understand that. We don't know anything much about that. It's just a theory we have, the whole Big Bang thing. So we just don't know all the specifics about that. So we're not making an assertion. We can't back up. We can't. He's trying to say because we don't believe in a God, then therefore we're saying it's without a God. Therefore we have to give. That makes no sense at all, because we're without belief. There's no implicitly implying here.
A purely materialistic universe is the default position, but that itself is a subjective claim which we can just outright reject. So there really is only a binary option here. Either a purely materialistic universe is able to exist on its own, or it requires the supernatural, a form of God/creator. So
Wait, what is that? What is the supernatural, man? A form of God/creator? What? We don't even know what that is. Here he is trying to say, well, you don't know how things. You're going to say this, and we don't know. You don't understand that. But hey, let's look at this God thing right here. Something that I have not defined. I have no idea. Supernatural, no idea what it is. I have no clue. We're supposed to just buy into that? What?
let's look at the scientific evidence and see which of these two positions are best supported. So first of all, we know that the universe has a beginning. Every
Does it? Are we sure?
drop of scientific evidence supports this. We see
Every drop. Well, we can look at the Big Bang and things of that nature, but we don't really understand it. It's a big question mark. We can look at the evidence for that, the redshift and other things of that nature, and we've come to a conclusion. But for all we know, the universe could have always existed in one form or another. We just don't know.
the second law of thermodynamics, that the universe is running down, and in order for something to run down, it must have started at some point.
Okay, I'm not going to miss this. This guy's appealing to the second law of thermodynamics, which is a big mistake these people use. The second law of thermodynamics refers to closed systems. The universe is not a closed system, right? Like the Earth, for example, is not a closed system. We receive energy from our star, which is called the sun. So it is not a closed system. So nothing to do with second law of thermodynamics. And another thing he's just trying to grab out there, it means nothing. It means nothing.
We also know that the universe is expanding. The Hubble telescope confirmed this years ago, and it's expanding from a single point, which means that it can be
from a single point. Well, we've theorized it's a point. We really don't know. We don't really understand. We don't fully understand. So it's not rock solid knowledge, okay? Even if it was, it's just a big question mark there, and we can't draw any more conclusions. We can't draw anything from that. It's a big question mark.
Contracted back to a single point. We also see things like radiation echo, temperature ripples, and also Einstein's theory of relativity, that the universe has a beginning and was not eternal like he
Right? Well, it could have existed in some form or another. There's a lot about quantum mechanics that we don't know. So, there's a lot about science. There's a lot we don't know about science, about how the universe works. We're still learning a lot. Quantum mechanics is a huge ass mystery, and that's going to take a while for us to understand. We're messing with it right now, but there's so much we don't know. It boggles my mind that we have people, coming on here doing videos trying to say that they're right when we don't understand the universe completely yet, right? Like, why draw conclusions if we don't know? If you don't know something, then we shouldn't be drawing conclusions like we know something. It makes no sense.
He thought. Einstein disliked the results so much that he added a fudge factor into his theory to allow for an eternal universe. He later admitted his error as the biggest blunder of my life. So in conclusion, we see that all the scientific evidence points to the fact that the universe had a beginning, just as the Bible states, and the science
just as the Bible states. Like the Bible has science in it.
Is consistent with a Genesis account. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the...
Okay, that's a story, buddy. It's just a story. No reason for us to believe your little story there.
earth. If you believe that something just magically exploded out of nothing, well, give me...
Like, first of all, you're God creating everything. Isn't that magical? And wouldn't it have done it out of nothing? We don't know what nothing is. What is nothing? Nothing is just a word it's just used for certain things, but in the context we're speaking of, we don't actually know what nothing is in the context of what you are saying right now. We have no idea what nothing is. What is nothing? We don't know. We have no experience of nothing.
One scientific piece of evidence where any explosion has caused order and not chaos. You can't, because it's not scientific.
Okay, no one says that order comes directly out after explosions, but suns explode and then planets form, and that's how we're here. We're all stardust, right? So maybe you should, look into cosmology a little bit and educate yourself, because you obviously don't know much about science. Yet you like to use the word science during your discussions in order to sound like you're appealing to people's sense of curiosity and need to know science.
Someone might say, well, something else existed prior to the Big Bang, but this belief isn't based on the science. This is a faith-based philosophical attempt to try to replace the God that was required for the Big Bang to occur.
And hold on.
Caused order and not chaos. You can't, because it's not scientific. Someone might say, well, something else existed prior to the Big Bang.
Something else might have existed prior to the Big Bang.
But this belief isn't based on the science.
If it's not... Okay, so your God didn't exist before then? I mean, come on, buddy.
This is a faith-based philosophical attempt.
You have a faith belief that this God thing existed. You don't even know what it is.
To try to replace the God that was required for the Big Bang to occur. The cosmological argument goes like this. The universe had a beginning. Whatever has a beginning has a cause. So what is the cause? If space-time and matter had a beginning, then what created space-time and matter cannot be made of space-time and matter itself, because that did not exist. So the cause must be spaceless, timeless, immaterial, powerful to be able to create, intelligent, and also personal.
How could intelligence come to be without universe to create it? Right? See, just goes back to my thing that we don't understand quantum mechanics. And I'm sure there's more on top of that we don't know. But right now, our biggest struggle right now is understanding quantum mechanics and how that all works. It's very spooky. But he's just trying to draw conclusions out of our limited knowledge right now and trying to say he's right when he doesn't even know what he's talking about.
To be able to choose to create. Does that sound like anyone you know?
Nope.
If you study science deep enough and long enough, it will force you to believe in God.
No.
Atheists might say, well, I don't believe that something came from nothing, but it doesn't matter what they claim to believe. What matters is the implication of their belief, and if you remove God, this is all that you're left with.
Doesn't matter.
We even see desperate attempts to try to redefine nothing as something other than nothing.
We don't even know what nothing is.
Literally nothing. Of course, common sense doesn't allow you to get something from nothing. Something pretty mysterious had to give rise to the origin of the universe. It is literally nothing. It is literally something. Nothing. You can dispute exactly what's meant by nothing, but whatever it is, it's very, very simple.
Right. We have no idea what nothing is. We have no experience of nothing, and Dawkins is correct, which is why quantum mechanics is so spooky, because things blip in and out of existence, and it's a lot for us to learn.
And why is that funny?
How foolish and desperate people become to try to explain away the existence of God. And some will even try to use metaphysics to say that things can pop into existence out of nothing. But what they don't realise is that actually requires the scientific laws to exist in the first place. That's not nothing. One thing that also points to God's existence is the fine-tuning of the universe. The universe very much appears to have been arranged to allow for intelligent life. And
yeah, there's a lot parts of the universe that doesn't allow life, so...
modern physics recognises a set of universal constants, and even the tiniest of changes in one of these constants would not allow life to exist, or even most forms of matter as well. The chance of this universe being fine-tuned like this by accident is estimated at 1 in 10 to the power of 120. That's a lot.
Look, these theists love to use, numbers. Oh, look, let me use this really large number to get you to doubt what you believe. Look how large this number is. Oh, you should really start doubting now, shouldn't you? Yes, doubt away, because I use a really large number, and it should confuse you. It should make you go, ooh.
Lot of zeros, given that the chance of winning the lotto is 1 in 10 to the power of 9. And atheists say that this happened by coincidence. Well, I don't have enough faith to believe in that, sorry. I'm going to need more evidence.
So atheists have more faith than you? But you're the one who believes in a God with total faith.
The fine-tuning of the universe clearly points to a higher power that deliberately chose this arrangement.
Yes, yeah, okay. How so? Explain. What's fine-tuned? Which part of the universe, which are many parts that does not allow life, how is that fine-tuned for existence?
One issue for a universe without God is also the fact of DNA and intelligent information. Give me one scientific example of intelligent information not coming from an intelligent mind. Just one example. You can't. Whether looking at the section of a book or computer software, if you have intelligent information and you can trace it back to its source, invariably you come to an intelligent mind. Therefore, when you find information transcribed along the backbone of the DNA molecule in the cell, the most rational inference based on repeated experience is that an intelligence of some form played a role in the origin of this information. No one would possibly in their right mind say that Mount Rushmore formed by accident, by the natural elements taking effect upon it. That would be ridiculous. Can you give me just one example of intelligent information not coming from an intelligent mind? You can't.
Can you even tell me what a God is? You can't. Can you give me any evidence for a God? You can't. That's why you're just trying to question what we know and trying to say, see, you don't know, let me fill this God in.
Possible. It's not supported by science, so why would you believe that? We can look around us and see the evidence for the existence of God.
Really?
It's very plain. For what can be known about God is plain to them.
Oh, he's reading the Bible. He's like, oh, the evidence is there. Let me read you a passage in the Bible. That'll convince you.
And because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made. So they are without excuse. You look at a painting, how do you know a painter was there? Because of the painting. You look at a building and you know that a builder was there. You can look at creation and you can know that a creator was there.
How do we know it's creation? How do we know it's creation? It's nature. You have to show that nature is creation. You just can't say it is.
It really is that simple and obvious.
How is it that simple? Where?
Many proponents of evolution will state that evolution is a fact of science, but this cannot be further from the truth.
Evolution is a fact.
There are numerous problems with this theory that are at odds with science. Laboratory studies have shown that organisms are capable of adaptation, the ability to shift their biology to fit their environment. These small changes are called microevolution. However, those same studies...
Okay, microevolution is only used in the classroom. Okay? It's just evolution. If there's micro, then there's macro. Unavoidable.
Studies have shown that this can only go so far. A dog can change to another type of dog, but there's no evidence to suggest that a certain kind of animal...
Dogs came from wolves, buddy.
...can change beyond its own genetic limits and become something else. Microevolution turns a wolf...
We have common ancestors with the chimp, for example. Chimps have 48 chromosomes, we have 46. And it's because 2 of our chromosomes fuse together, which we can see the evidence of.
...into a chihuahua or a Great Dane. This is scientific. Macroevolution turns a fish into a cow. This is completely unscientific. Macroevolution has some major scientific impossibilities.
Notice he goes from a fish to a cow that would have, any kind of evolutionary change would take so long that, of course, if you take the beginning and the end, you're like, how does this become possible? But he uses it as a wow factor, so he's be like, see, it's so weird, it would never happen.
Possibilities and hurdles, including irreducible complexity, the lack of transitional fossils, and much more. The reason...
everything's a transitional fossil. Everything is a transitional fossil.
Why macroevolution is unscientific is that there is no known way for entirely new genetic information.
If small changes are going to happen, large changes are going to happen. If you drop some dirt and create a little tiny molehill, and you keep adding dirt and dirt and dirt, it's going to eventually become a mountain if you have enough dirt.
To be added to a genome as macroevolution requires. Duplications and mutations do not add new information to the
Sure
genome.
they do. Mutations definitely add new information.
Duplications are the result of duplicating existing genetic information, and mutations alter existing genetic information.
Right, which gives new information. It's a mutation.
Neither of them adds new information.
Oh my gosh.
If you believe that a universe is possible without God, then you have to believe that life came from non-life. Give me one scientific example, please, just one of life coming from non-life. You can't, because...
Oh, look, he just give me one. Oh, you can't. Well, just because we can create RNA, or we're pretty close to creating DNA from non-life. So just because we don't know something doesn't mean that, therefore, it's not possible. This is just pessimistic thinking, and he's trying to use pessimistic thinking because he wants to throw his God in there. See, he doesn't really care about people. A lot of these people like this don't care about the truth. They just care about spreading their belief, and he's doing everything he can to be dishonest with this discussion in order to arrive at that location. Right? He doesn't care about the truth. He just cares about his beliefs and supporting them. I care about the truth. I will believe in whatever, anytime, once there's evidence for it. Right? But not this guy.
Life comes from life 100% of the time. People will point to abiogenesis, the original evolution of life or living organisms from inorganic or inanimate substances. This is an interesting theory in one's mind, but that's all it is, an idea. It cannot be scientifically demonstrated.
Just because something is not scientifically demonstrated doesn't mean that it's not possible or it can't be in the future.
Will point to the Miller-Urey experiment, which was a simulation of conditions of the early Earth, testing the idea that life, or more specifically organic molecules, could have formed by nothing more than simple chemical reactions. But the problem is that this only brought about the rise of organic compounds, not life itself. If this is the best evidence you have, then you are in big, big trouble.
How are we in big trouble? Because we don't know something. The best thing you can do is say, I don't know. It's okay to not know something until we know something. We're not in big trouble at all. We're learning, and we're advancing, and we're getting there.
Living things coming to life is the stuff of science fiction, not of science. And all life had to have
and your God with magical powers, that's not science fiction?
Come from a source of life. And God is the source of all life.
What is it? What is this God? You spend all this time trying to attack science. You don't tell us what a God is, how we know one exists. You don't have this information. All you can do is read your little Bible, and I spell that Buybull. Bible. That's how we should be spelling it.
Another problem with the possibility of a universe without God is the rational that we observe around us. Give me one scientific example of the
He's one. Give me one. It's always one. Give me one.
Rational coming from the irrational. You can't.
You
if
can't.
Our brains restricted to the physical laws of physics and
Tell me what a God is. You can't. Tell me how we know one exists. You can't.
chemistry, then
I can
all
do
that
it
is
too.
is one chemical state changing to another. It's determinism. And anything that you say, any argument you put up, I could say to you, your brain made you do that. You're not actually thinking yourself. It's just your chemistry that's controlling you. So what's the point of us even talking? And if that's the case, you can't...
By educating you, that's the point. Education and awareness.
That is giving you these thoughts. So as I said, atheists will try to frame a debate in the form that, well, I'm not making any claim, you're making the claim, so you have to support your claim.
Right,
But like I said,
you are.
if they're saying that there's even a possibility that there's not enough evidence for God, that a universe could even possibly exist without God, then they have to provide the evidence to show how this is possible.
That is not making a positive claim. That's saying, I don't know, I don't have the information, I am withholding belief. Right? That's the honest way to go. This guy is trying to say we're making assertions when we're not. Just because he needs something to attack. He needs to shift the focus off of his imaginary friend is what he needs to do, which is why he's doing this little desperate, dishonest debate tactic. It's exactly what it is.
From the science available. And looking at all of this, I can see clearly why they would want to shirk the burden of proof.
Because we don't have it. You do.
Because they don't have any evidence that can support the possibility even of a universe without God. All the science actually flies in the face of this. Also note that in this video, I'm not talking about evidence for the Christian God, I'm talking about the evidence for a creator God.
Which you can't even do that.
For who God is would be a topic for another video, and then we could explore things like biblical...
We don't want to know who God is, we want to know what it is, what it's made of, where it comes from, where it lives, what's made of, how we know the things we know about it. Can you do that? No, you cannot.
prophecy, the
Love to see a
resurrection, the
video on
reliability
that.
of biblical accounts. Another thing that atheists will say is that this isn't actually evidence for God. This is just God of the gaps. Because you can't explain
Yep.
things, you're filling in the gaps.
Exactly.
With God.
Right.
But this isn't true. This is
Yes,
evidence
it's true.
that actually points
No.
to the
Where?
fact
Where?
That a supernatural being
What is that?
required.
What is supernatural? Supernatural means above and beyond the natural world. What do we know that is above and beyond the natural? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing.
In the explanation of the universe, God has intentionally designed the universe in this way so that
Oh,
it points
more
back to Him
baseless
and definitively
assertions.
testifies of His existence. This is
Where?
so unmistakable.
How is it unmistakable? Where's the evidence? How do we know?
Would have to choose to close their eyes.
He wants to try to attack everything we know and asking for science. But it comes to his imaginary friend, oh, it's just, it's an axiom. It's it's just self-evident. It's so undeniable. It's obvious.
eyes and put their fingers in their ears not to see this. The fool
What?
says in his heart, there is no God.
If a fool can figure out there is no God, what is your excuse, son?
And what atheists are actually doing is science of the gap, pseudoscience of the gap. They're saying,
What?
if we wait long enough, then there'll be enough evidence that we'll be able to explain these things.
We don't make claims unless we know. We don't assume something unless we have evidence for it. That's the honest way to go. But this seems to not fly with you. You don't seem to be interested in not knowing. You might see it as a weakness or something when it's really a strength. Because by saying I don't know, you open yourself up to knowledge, to knowing more.
And many atheists will say, well, I simply don't know. I'm humble enough to say that I don't know.
Right.
But it's not an issue of saying I don't know. The scientific evidence actually
Atheism evidence. He's looking for. You can't even spell atheist right. Atheist looking for credible evidence of the existence of God. All right, then why can't you give it? Oh wait, it's obvious. You don't need to give it. It's just obvious. We should just look at buildings and paintings. What the heck?
actually contradicts the position that a universe could even exist without the possibility of God. And many scientists have many things to say on this issue, and they will forcefully try to push the fact that things like evolution are a fact and all of this other nonsense, that something can come from nothing. But nonsense,
we don't know what nothing
spoken
is.
by scientists, is still nonsense. I don't have
You're the one speaking nonsense about your God thing.
enough faith to be an atheist.
So we have more of what you need to believe in your God. So if faith is a virtue, then we have a stronger virtue than you then, according to you. And you should be jealous of us or envious of us and strive for that. Dummy.
I cannot believe in what completely flies in the face of all of the available evidence. Atheists will try
There is no evidence. You didn't give any.
to frame this whole debate with this false dichotomy of science versus the unscientific, the intellectual versus the unintellectual, the rational versus the irrational, but that is a false dichotomy. And I'm going to stand on the side of the great scientists like
What?
Isaac Newton and Michael Faraday and many other scientists who believed in God, and even
Just because a scientist believes in a God doesn't mean that they gave you information to help you do that. All right? It doesn't help you at all. Trying to refer to authority or popularity is not going to give you evidence. It's not going to validate a claim. And that's the problem with these people. They think, oh, if I just refer to these specific scientists who are so well known, they believe in a God, therefore their belief has got to be, got to have some weight to it. No, it doesn't work that way.
some of them who specifically believed in the Christian God. This isn't a matter of the science versus faith versus the unscientific, the intellectual versus the unintellectual. This is a matter of looking at the evidence and going wherever the evidence points, no matter how uncomfortable that makes you feel. Labeling these things as science, chanting mantras that it's a scientific fact, just like a Buddhist monk, just chanting those mantras doesn't actually make it science.
That's your position. That's what you're doing. You're the one doing that, not us. You.
It doesn't make it science anymore.
Look at yourself and what you're saying.
That I'm the Incredible Hulk, and that's a fact.
Got
makes
logic?
me the Incredible Hulk.
Got logic?
It's nonsense. I find when I'm discussing things with atheists, they become very uncomfortable when they are the ones who are having to answer the questions.
I will debate you in a heartbeat, buddy. I will debate you live. Let's pull up Streamlab. I'm gonna try to contact this guy and see if I can debate him, see if he'll do it. But I think he'll be scared. I think I saw him respond in some of these things, and he's just not willing to have a good discussion because he's scared. He's scared. You're scared, buddy.
Give me one example of life coming from non-life. There's not one. There's
He already said that. He's repeating himself now. We don't have to know everything now to know that you're full of crap. We don't have to. We can not know things and still know that what you're saying has no merit.
not one example of intelligent information not coming from an intelligent mind, of something coming from nothing, of the rational coming from the irrational.
We don't know what nothing is.
And this just exposes the fact that their
Nothing
position is not based on science, testable,
it's totally based on science.
repeatable.
We wait till
It's
before we
based
know.
on pseudoscience and philosophy.
This is you. You're the one with pseudo. This guy is just.
So that they can desperately try to avoid the obvious, that is, that God exists. Friends, make sure you subscribe.
How is that obvious? Well, this guy is. Anyways, guys, I hope you liked that. I thought I'd tear it up a little bit there. I'm probably going to cut this up a little bit. I'm going to seriously try to reach out to this guy. Does he allow email? See what we can do here.
The gospel was found.
What happened to like the about thing when you can email these people? How does he have more subscribers than me? I guess there's a lot of gullible people out there. He probably posts a lot more than me. Anyways, let's see what I can do, guys. And I wouldn't mind getting debate going. There's a Streamlab app I can use for it. Anyways, peace.